January 6th, 2011. MIT police tackle a 24-year-old on the sidewalk. Inside his bag, a hard drive filled with 4.8 million academic papers. Days later, federal prosecutors charge him with 13 felonies, 35 years in prison for downloading research papers. But then, they realize who they just arrested. He's not some anonymous hacker. He's the co-founder of Reddit, the architect of RSS, and a millionaire before he could legally drink. His name? Aaron Swartz, a digital prodigy who believed that knowledge should be free and paid the ultimate price for it. The boy who rewired the internet. Aaron Swartz wasn't like other kids. At just 14, while his classmates were still learning algebra, he helped create RSS 1.0, the very system that delivers news feeds to every browser today. By 19, he sold his startup Infogamy to Reddit, becoming a millionaire overnight. He had the Silicon Valley dream: money, fame, and success. But none of it satisfied him. The corporate meetings and profit margins at Condé Nast, Reddit's new parent company, clashed with something much deeper inside him: a mission to make knowledge free for everyone. So he walked away from wealth, from comfort, and became an activist, cracking the paywall. In 2008, Aaron stumbled upon a system called Pacer, a government-run database that charged citizens 8 cents per page just to read public court documents. That might sound small, but in total, the system made over $120 million a year from taxpayers for accessing their own legal system. Aaron saw that and thought, this isn't justice. It's a paywall on democracy. So he wrote a simple script. In 6 weeks, he downloaded 19 million pages of public court documents through free library terminals. The FBI opened an investigation. Agents were ready to storm his apartment until they realized he hadn't broken any law. Pacer was free through libraries. His only crime was thinking bigger than the system allowed. That brush with the law didn't scare Aaron. It radicalized him. He wrote what became known as the Guerrilla Open Access Manifesto, declaring, "Information is power, but like all power, there are those who want to keep it for themselves." The JSTOR mission. By 2010, Aaron had a new target: JSTOR, a nonprofit digital library storing millions of scholarly papers, most of them funded by public money, yet locked behind paywalls. He wasn't trying to profit. He wanted to liberate that knowledge. At MIT, where the network was open to anyone, Aaron plugged his laptop directly into an Ethernet port in a hidden wiring closet. There, his small Acer netbook began its mission, downloading thousands of PDFs every hour, storing them on a portable drive. By Christmas 2010, he had 4.8 million academic papers, 300 years of human knowledge copied onto that hard drive. But JSTOR noticed. Their servers were under siege, and the trail led straight to MIT. Security cameras went up, and on January 6th, 2011, they caught Aaron swapping the hard drive. As he stepped out of the building, police tackled him on the sidewalk. In that moment, the young man who built the backbone of the web became a criminal in the eyes of the law. When the system struck back, at first, it seemed minor. JSTOR got their files back. They refused to press charges. MIT stayed silent. Aaron's lawyers expected a slap on the wrist, maybe a fine or community service. But then the US government stepped in. Federal prosecutor Carmen Ortiz saw an opportunity. She charged Aaron under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1986, a law written before the internet as we know it even existed. Wire fraud, computer fraud, unlawfully obtaining data, 13 felony counts, maximum sentence, 35 years in prison, and $1 million in fines. The tech community was horrified. Tim Berners-Lee, the creator of the World Wide Web, called it a gross miscarriage of justice. But prosecutors didn't back down. Aaron wasn't being treated as a hacker. He was being made an example, fighting back and paying the price. Aaron refused to plead guilty. He believed that admitting guilt would validate the government's abuse of power and set a precedent that could criminalize everyday digital behavior. Think about it. Under that same law, even sharing your Netflix password could be considered unauthorized access. So Aaron fought, even as legal bills drained his savings and the threat of prison grew heavier. He refused every plea deal that required him to be labeled a felon. And while under indictment, he launched a new battle, not for himself, but for the entire internet. The SOPA blackout. In late 2011, Congress introduced 2 bills. SOPA, and PIPA. They claimed to fight online piracy, but buried in the text were powers that could let the government block entire websites, even if just one user uploaded copyrighted material. Wikipedia, Reddit, YouTube, all at risk. It was the blueprint for government censorship. Aaron, facing 13 felonies, still found time to lead the resistance. He co-founded Demand Progress, uniting tech companies and activists to fight the bills. His idea? A coordinated internet blackout to show the world what censorship would look like. On January 18, 2012, over 115,000 websites went dark. Wikipedia displayed a black screen with the words, "Imagine a world without free knowledge." Reddit shut down. Google censored its logo. And millions of Americans flooded Congress with phone calls. Within 24 hours, 18 senators withdrew support. SOPA and PIPA were dead. Aaron Swartz, the same man the government was trying to destroy, had just saved the open internet, the end of a revolution. But victory came at a cost. The government didn't forgive. Prosecutors refused to drop his charges. If anything, his growing fame made them more determined. By late 2012, his trial was set for April 2013. The plea deal was still on the table, 6 months in prison, 1 felony on his record. But Aaron couldn't accept it. He told a friend, "If I take this deal, what happens to the next person they come after?" The pressure became unbearable. The legal fees, the headlines, the surveillance. Aaron's long struggle with depression worsened. On January 11, 2013, 11 weeks before his trial, Aaron was found dead in his Brooklyn apartment. He was 26 years old. Aftermath and legacy. The world reacted with outrage. Vigils were held across the globe, from Boston to London. MIT students plastered posters across campus reading, "MIT, why did you betray Aaron?" Aaron's father said at the funeral, "My son was killed by the government." The case was dropped, but the debate it started is still alive. Lawmakers proposed Aaron's Law to reform the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act to prevent what happened to him from happening again. But over a decade later, it still hasn't passed. And yet, Aaron's impact remains everywhere. JSTOR made thousands of papers freely accessible. SecureDrop, the anonymous whistleblower platform he helped build, is now used by the New York Times, The Guardian, and The Washington Post. And Sci-Hub, the massive open-access research site, was directly inspired by his manifesto. Aaron's dream didn't die with him. It spread into every corner of the web where people fight for open access, transparency, and digital freedom. Montage of Aaron's quotes, music swells. Aaron Swartz believed one thing, that information belongs to everyone. He stood up against billion-dollar corporations, outdated laws, and an entire government because he believed knowledge shouldn't have a price tag. If this story moved you, share it. Subscribe for more true stories of people who changed the digital world and paid the price for it.